As I listen to the developers and ground up and retrofit and so forth, the magic that creates the value for their buildings is called rent. And without the revenue stream and the rent and what David's selling, you're talking about empty buildings, and it's not cap rates, it's different dollars. So when we work with tenants, that's the value we add. We bring the rent, hopefully with a credit tenant and a long-term lease, and the economics work for everybody. That's our job. It sounds easy. Starting out, first thing we have to do is we have to win the client. In our business, that could take anywhere from a year to 2 to 3 to build a relationship, to convince them that you're going to be the best one to be their advocate, to make them understand your skill sets, and then you finally get hired. So you've been selling for 18 months or 2 years to get the assignment. Now you're representing them, now you're buying, because you're in the market, and now you're looking to buy space and represent them with a total different dynamic. You have to understand the market, you have to understand the needs and wants of your client, the personalities of the developers you're dealing with, the creditworthiness. You have to understand some aspects of construction as it relates to tenant work and costs and so forth. And while you don't practice law, you have to be able to read a document and understand the clauses that affect your tenant. So there's a myriad of skill sets that are needed, and they all come into play. Once the deal gets done, if you want to keep this relationship, you need to follow up and continue to monitor what's going on. Is what you bargained for happening? Is it timing happening? Are the costs in line? And you need to do that. It's not just, eat your, kill the prey and eat it. It's a farmer mentality. You want to, build it and keep it on a long-term basis. That being said, the conflicts can be crazy. I mean, you represent the tenant, the landlord is paying you. So the guy you're negotiating against is going to give you your compensation. It's kind of an anomaly in this business. It's the way it is. Everybody understands the commission's going to be in the rent, and eventually your tenant's paying for it. The guy writing the check is the guy across the table. The one thing you have to remember if you're going to keep these relationships is no matter what happens, no matter what the feelings are, you put your client's interest first, you keep it there, and if you do so, you'll keep the relationship. In our case, my first deal was not for a tenant, it was for a landlord, a project called Headquarters Plaza in Morristown. I became the agent for it 36 years ago. We're still the agent today. And it's probably the longest running agency that I'm familiar with. The work environment, it's very entrepreneurial, as David said. Internal to the company, for the most part, it's cooperative and communicative. I mean, we compete with each other, but we really compete with other brokerage companies. And when you talk about the competitive nature of the business outside the company, I refer to it as a blood sport. It is the most competitive thing you'll ever do. You're playing for big money. Everybody has skin in the game. Guys talk about writing checks. We write checks for our time. The only thing you have in this life is your time. And if you waste it chasing a project for a year or more and you come up empty, it hurts. So that's where the stress comes in. You can't let the highs get you too high, or you can't let the lows get you too low, because this is what it's like. Besides the cycles, the brokerage business is like that. So you have to really love to win. And if you love to win, you'll love the business. You'll love the game. It's been perfect for me. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it. I just love what I do, and that kind of translates into the hours. I don't put in the kind of hours David does in the office, but I can tell you when I'm on the golf course on a Saturday afternoon, half of my time is spent trying to, how am I going to connect those dots? How am I going to get this guy to do what I need him to do so this will happen? So it's kind of a 24/7 game, but you have to have balance. I get mine by taking time and going away and getting a long perspective. The stress is going to be there. Compensation, this is probably not something young people want to hear, but on the leasing side of the brokerage, we'll hire 10 people. 4 or 5 years later, 5 of them will be here, 5 of them will be gone. One of those 5 will really do well and be earning 7 figures. The others will make a very good living. I'm talking about the low to mid 6 figures. But the high end is a very limited. It's the 90-10 story year all the time. And would I do it again? Yeah, as I said earlier, it's been everything I could have hoped for. I mean, when I came into this, some of these guys will remember, I was building houses. It was 1977, 78. I was 29 years old. I had floating loans, and the prime rate went to 22. So, try that on for size. I got out of the development business and cold called Cushman Wakefield, went into New York, sat down, had an interview. The guy that hired me at the time was a guy by the name of Steve Siegel. He was the local branch manager in New Jersey. He's now the chairman of CBRE, who's our biggest competitor and a close friend. So it's a great business. If anyone wants to hear more about it, Paul can put you in touch with me. I'm happy to go into more detail. Thank you.